Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Student Spotlight. My name is Jason Wilson, and today I am joined by Seth Trotochaud. Seth, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic today, Jason.
That's awesome here. For those of you not aware, Seth is one of the AOMs of DNN. He is the AOM of management, funny enough, and he's been doing a fantastic job. You may know him for his times of doing Slice by Seth, originally known as Slice by Slice, as well as the Dean Daily Recap, and as well as doing the Why DNN Experience, starting that one off where he pulls out a picture for everyone to see an old ugly picture of themselves when they were a little kid. And let me tell you, he found a picture of me with goggles and lacrosse gear. So that was a doozy. And I told him to look on Mom's Facebooks, and he found my mom's. Now I'm scared. So Seth, to start off, why Dean? What drew you to come to Dean College?
Well, they had a really great sports broadcasting program. They have a bunch of really prestigious professors such as John Rook, guys like Vic Michaels, who's been in the business for so many years, who really know what they're doing, and like getting to see that and all the tours and just like hearing about how good the professors are and how experienced they are kind of showed me that like this was a place where I'm learning from the best. So that was like one of the big reasons for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, and so when it comes down to that, you said that your major is sports broadcasting. You've
Yes.
been a part of the sports broadcasting team. I've worked alongside you for a few games as one of the head directors, along with Vice President Luciano Cavosa,
Yeah.
as well as another sports broadcasting major, a part of DNN, Harrison Soap as well. You've worked alongside him. Now, why sports broadcasting? What made you take that major?
Well, as somebody who's like really like been a sports fan my whole life, a lot of like really like deep roots within my family where we all love sports. We love just like getting to know everything there possibly can be about it. I wanted to be a part of the sports world and get to contribute in my own way.
Now, would you like to tell the audience a little bit about what sort of sports world that you've been interested in the most? Because you've shared with me a certain culture that has been a major part of why you chose sports broadcasting.
Absolutely. So, growing up in Connecticut, we had one specific team that was like the gold standard in the world of sports, which is UConn women's basketball, which, with having two parents who were both at UConn during some like the height of their runs and having both my parents meet each other there, the UConn women's basketball program is like that's sports to me. Like a culture of just winning and caring about sports in a way that like it really is. It's like a family the way that the culture there is at UConn, and like the way the fan base is and how much everybody cares about the team and like the success that they have.
It's always a beautiful way to fall in love with sports and to hear everyone's story about how they fell in love with either a team or just a certain branch within the sporting industry, and especially to figure out that you can do it as a job.
Absolutely.
And I completely understand that. Now, why did you choose specifically sports broadcasting?
Well, I always found it so interesting because the moments that really make sports so interesting are like the moments that TV broadcasters get to cover, and like moments in sports that are almost like having the commentator kind of like explain the whole thing, or like moments where like you got like with Kawhi Leonard in the Raptors in like the 2019 run where it's like, is this the dagger? Like moments like that where like you just feel the energy and the moment is encapsulated by that broadcaster. Like it's something where like you're a part of covering it and just being a part of it in a way that like you're right front and center. Absolutely.
Really tugging at the heartstrings right there, especially with the 2019 run.
Yeah, I know that hits you deep.
Yeah. So you have a little bit of taste of broadcasting, especially from Dean, but you chose to come to our organization of DNN. So why DNN for yourself? Why did you join DNN?
Well, my good friend Harrison Soap, he kind of introduced me to the club. He was telling me all about all the stuff that you guys do, and I came to the first meeting and I was like, these people know their stuff. These people are really excited about what they do. I love getting to be in the digital studios and just cover what everybody cares about. So I always really liked being here. I kind of fell in love with the club like the first week I started going to the meetings. And I knew that I wanted to be a part of this for a while.
Yeah, and you have definitely made a name for yourself. You have obviously Dean Daly. I believe you have a few news and sports and a bulletin on your belt. Not to mention your infamous Slice by Seth, which was originally Slice by Slice when you started off as a pizza rebrand to now full on food.
Yes.
Would you like to express a little bit about how you came up with that idea and what it's become now?
Sure, absolutely. So I was really, really bored in January of 2024, and I sort of fell down this rabbit hole of Dave Portnoy pizza reviews. And for a while, I was trying to come up with like something that I could cover as like my own segment for DNN, and I was like, there's a lot of pizza places in the Franklin area. I think it'd be kind of fun to just like kind of like do something kind of like Dave Portnoy, like review pizza, kind of like talk about like where's the best spot to go in Franklin, and like it sort of expanded beyond that where I was doing reviews near my friends' schools, close to like my hometown, and I kind of realized like I could be doing a lot of like different ideas, different stuff with this topic. Like reviewing food, I think is a really fun avenue of just like everybody likes food. You get to try food. You get to tell people about food. You get to show people new places, because that was one of the things I always really liked about Portnoy was it gets these little small businesses a chance to be in the spotlight and be heard and like show that they've got something that like people want, and like I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah. So you talk about some of your reviews, and especially Dave Portnoy. I've seen in some of your comments that you have gotten a little bit of backlash based upon being compared to Portnoy,
Yes.
as well as some other food reviewers. Is that possibly a reason for the rebrand? Because to be honest, it's probably one of the best things you could have done.
Yes, I would agree that it was partially because of the comparisons that came out of being similar to Portnoy, which was initially kind of my idea, was just kind of like do like a little segment on that and just kind of make that be like a chill, low key kind of thing. But then I realized that I could start expanding this, and once I realized that I wanted to do a lot more of these, I wanted to do these outside of just like the school year. I wanted to do these at home. I wanted to do these at my friends' schools. I wanted to do this kind of all wherever I was going. And so I decided that, I'll rebrand into Sliced by Seth. Get to do whatever food I want, whenever I want, and people can compare me and say whatever they want to say about me, but I'm just doing this because I think it's fun.
I think you being able to evolve your craft into something else really shows how versatile you are as a creator, and especially within social media and creating content. It's really tough to stay up
Yeah.
with all the new trends and keeping up with everything. I mean, we here at DNN, we upload a bunch of different stuff. We record every single week. We do a lot of scripting.
Yeah.
You as well do some scripting as well, and you do a bunch of other stuff on the side. Especially Dean Daly. Would you tell us what you do for the Dean Daly?
Absolutely. So I'm the sports editor for the Dean Daily, and we talk a lot about like campus-wide stuff. We talk a bit about like stuff going on in like the greater Boston, Massachusetts area. And so as a sports editor, I get to myself write a lot about sports, both on campus and on like national level. Like I've written articles on the Patriots, but my favorite article that I've ever written was about AJ Weston, who was a basketball player here at Dean, who went on to play in Slovenia professionally. And I thought that was such a cool opportunity for him, and getting to cover that and just kind of showcase that people playing in Division III athletics can get to do amazing things. And that was one of my favorite things I ever got to cover.
Yeah. So when it comes to the sports broadcasting world and everything that you've mentioned before, you mentioned UConn women's basketball, even Dean College basketball, it's leading you down a different path. And for those of you who are not aware, usually student spotlights are usually with a senior, not always an e-board member. And Seth has an announcement of his own
Yes.
to express what is going on with him, as well as what's going on next semester, especially since he's been alluding it during this interview, especially with a certain school.
Absolutely. So I decided earlier this fall that this winter I'm going to be taking my talents to UConn. So I'm going to be transferring there for the spring semester. I'm very excited to get started there. I think that they've got a lot of great opportunities for me, and as much as I'm going to miss Dean, and believe me, I really will, I love all the aspects of Dean that have really made this a home for me, like DNN, the Dean Daily, a bunch of great people I've met here, but I think UConn's a great path for me to go down.
So I obviously the question on a lot of people's mind that I know the answer to, but not a lot of people do. Why UConn? So why completely change paths and go down a different way? Uh, so can you go on to explain that?
Oh, absolutely. So UConn has kind of always been on my sights because both my parents not only graduated from there, but both met there. That's how they fell in love. That's how they got married, and that's kind of how I came along. I think I always kind of credited UConn for that. I felt like that's really cool, kind of getting to be by a place where it's a part of your history, and so getting to know that, and then getting to like obviously have UConn be something that I've always kind of been present in my life. Like I remember as far back as I can remember watching all the UConn women's games with my parents, and then kind of like the final straw being that my girlfriend is a junior there, and that's kind of like a big part of it too, because
Yeah.
like the most important person in your life, you kind of it's hard to be without her for that long.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
but I mean, you never know where life takes you, and I'm very excited for this.
Yeah. It's sort of like a storybook beginning, as you said. You grew up watching UConn women's basketball, and you grew up with alumni from UConn. Your girlfriend goes to UConn,
Yeah.
and you're about to move on there to a school of your dreams that you've been wanting to go for a long time. And you've told me personally that Dean just had a lot of things that lined up.
Yeah.
And I am super happy that you were going down this avenue, especially I'm glad Dean has given you that avenue so that you're able to transfer next semester and move on to your dreams, because if there's something that I really want for you, I want nothing but your success.
Thank you. I appreciate
So
that.
I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. But besides that, is there anything that you think you want to say before you're on your way out of Dean College, out of the way, out of Franklin?
Well, thank you everyone who's made this a really special place. Like obviously Jason, you've been a huge part of this. I'd like to shout out some seniors that graduated last year. A good friend of mine being CJ, Medeiros, Dylan, huge guys that like really helped me out and kind of gave me a lot of great footing here. And like the people here at Dean make a huge impact on you, and for me it's been so positive. And like I always loved promoting both of these clubs because they did so much for me, and I'll always tell this to like anyone who's interested, like go for it, because the people here care about it, and that's like the most important thing about going anywhere is if the people running the show care about what they're doing and want everybody to have a good time and just enjoy themselves and do what they want to do. I think it's just a beautiful thing.
You explain a lot of advice about coming to DNN and the Dean Daily. Is there any sort of advice that you give to anyone else out there who are thinking about going to college, as well as thinking about transferring, deciding on joining a new club, just deciding on a new beginning?
Yeah.
What is your advice to those people out there?
Do what makes you happy, even if it's a little bit scary or if you think that you might not be able to achieve it for any reason. The worst that's going to happen when you apply for something or you ask a question is that they say no, and if they don't, you'll find something else. Believe me, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know the kind of opportunities. Like something I've learned in my life that like I've given like so many thanks to God is that anytime I feel like I've needed something, I've been rewarded with something either that I needed or that I wanted, but the thing that I needed most, I was always given. And I always, like, just keep praying and keep finding and doing what makes you happy.
That's amazing, Seth. Well, that about does it for this episode of Student Spotlight. I would like to thank Seth a lot for joining me today. Is there anything you would like to give a shout out to before we wrap up?
Shout out my mom and dad, my family, my girlfriend Lila, my cat Arwen, everybody here at DNN, CJ, Dylan as earlier, everybody that made Dean special, you're always gonna have a place in my heart, and I appreciate you.
Well, everyone, that about does it for this episode of Student Spotlight. You can check out a couple other ones in the playlist, and especially check out Seth for all that he's done. It's going to be all down in the description about what he's up to, his Instagram, and all that sort of jazz. Everyone, that about does it for this episode. My name is Jason Wilson, joined by the lovely Seth Trotochaud. Signing off. Have a nice day, have a nice morning, have a nice evening, and have a nice night.